Members of the U.S. women's soccer team speaking out on their fight to close the sports gender pay gap and the brands that are backing them up. Sarah Eisen joins us now with more.
Hey, Morgan. The U.S. women's soccer team making big headlines, filing a groundbreaking lawsuit against its parent, U.S. Soccer, recently. And one brand today is stepping up in honor of Equal Pay Day, trying to close that pay gap between U.S. and women's and men's soccer teams. I had a chance to speak with some of the players about that and ask them why now they were filing this lawsuit.
I think this team has always been very committed to fighting for what we believe is right and fighting for ourselves. So this is kind of just another step in that.
The men's team and the women's team have separate collective bargaining agreements. Pay is structured a little bit differently. So how did you find out what the imbalance was?
We've learned a lot throughout the last couple of years through negotiating our agreement and then having brands like Lunabar step up hugely and proactively seeking us out and wanting to close that gender pay gap like they have today in offering us exactly the same roster bonus that the men get. So it's pretty incredible to meet brands like this that are really at the forefront of closing the gender pay gap.
Some might look at this issue and say, I don't get it. The women win more, they play more, they work just as hard, if not harder. Why is there such a big gap? I think you guys put the number at 38% in pay. How do you answer a question like that?
I think that people know, the public knows that we're playing the same number of games, that we're competing in the same tournaments, and so that's why that this is such an important lawsuit. And I think that being a member of this team, you kind of learn about fighting for your rights, fighting for gender equality in sport. It's kind of a torch that's passed down.
I'm sure you've heard on the broader point in your lawsuit against the Federation that while the pay gap is big and may not be fair, men's team brings in a lot more ratings and a lot more money in terms of the events. What do you say to that argument?
I would say that that's an incomplete argument. And, you know, I think that unless we're going to talk about the investment across the board in everything and, you know, and then take that back years and years and years, it's hard to really have that conversation.
I was just looking at what other companies are doing in this space. I covered the Nike event, the big fashion event in Paris, where they made a big deal about designing women's uniforms for women this year instead of just making an iteration of men's. Is that significant to you as a player? What did that mean?
Oh, absolutely. To see a company like Nike put on an event where each jersey has a story behind it is just incredible. I've never been a part of an event like that. It's pretty incredible to see the game changing. The game, not the soccer game, but just the culture and people celebrating women and celebrating the World Cup for what it is and for these 23 women representing our country at the highest stage.
And guys, as for Lunabar, which is making that big announcement that they are going to be paying the difference in women's and men's bonuses, the company putting out a statement today saying that they are proud to support these women and all women. And don't worry, Morgan, because apparently we only have to wait till 2070 to level the pay gap in this country.
I know, it's such a depressing stat that we've been putting out there on CNBC today based on that Glassdoor data. Question about this Lunabar situation. Were there strings attached to the money that Lunabar gave the soccer players?
I'm not aware of any. And you know, it also follows some of the other announcements that we've seen from other major corporations, like Adidas, for instance, also coming out and saying that they will pay equal bonuses to the winners of Adidas-sponsored teams for the World Cup that they would pay for men. So slowly but surely, there are steps being taken. But obviously, this lawsuit shines a pretty big spotlight on the issue, not just of the bonuses, which is a step that these companies are taking, but really what they're paid in general per games and how that's measured and how that's determined, because the men didn't even qualify for the World Cup in terms of the U.S. men's team. Not only did the women last time qualify, but they actually won. And they feel they've got the momentum and the case to be made heading into this argument. Lunabar, just one of the examples of the sponsors, and they talked a lot about how grateful they were for the support, for stepping up. Didn't talk about any strings attached, but I assume they're doing a lot of press around it.